Reddit overload presents. r/AskReddit. What's the most fucked up thing the US government has done? Before we start, remember to leave a like and subscribe. You want this chronological or alphabetical? I mean, there was the time the National Guard shot and killed coal miners and their families who were being horribly exploited by coal companies, so they were striking. See also, the Ludlow Massacre, and the time they decided to routinely sterilize Native American women, and the Guatemala syphilis experiments. Back in the 50s and 60s, the US military tested several different biological weapons on and unbeknownst to the public. They specifically targeted low-income and poverty-stricken areas. They tested things from chemicals to viruses. It wasn't declassified till 10 years ago. The things they haven't been caught for. Currently, they are abusing the fact that the whole population is tunnel visioning on the corona pandemic to pass a highly controversial bill that will grant them access to every single phone call or message passed/sent/received on American soil without warrant or court order. Well, this probably isn't the worst thing America has done, since it didn't happen, but Operation Northwoods. This was a proposed false flag attack on US soil that would justify going to war with Cuba. It was rejected by Kennedy, but approved by every man before him. It's stuff like this that makes the whole 9/11 inside job conspiracy sound a little less wacky, because this was essentially the same thing. Honestly, there's so many grotesquely fucked up things it's hard to pick just one. Not to mention there's so much that's classified that honestly we don't know for sure. The thread is bound to mention stuff like slavery, Tuskegee, MK Ultra, Trail of Tears, Iran-Contra, Jim Crow laws, Vietnam War, voter suppression, Operation Northwoods, the Patriot Act, pretending COVID is a hoax to short stock, bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki, executing mentally disabled criminals, and the list just goes on and on and on. How do you pick a most fucked up thing? During the Vietnam War, the US dropped about 270 million bombs on the small country of Laos, making it the most bombed country in the world. Millions of bombs did not detonate and still pose danger to the people living there. Both of my parents had to emigrate from Laos because of this war. My dad told me that he knows civilian people who lost limbs and others who died because of the bombs. Over 90% of the people killed by these US bombs were civilians. I'm gonna go with not doing anything to stop the brutal lynching, rape and murder of African Americans up until the 60s. The overthrowing of legitimate governments to replace them with dictators in the name of fighting communism happened in Iran and all over Latin America. Did everyone forget COINTELPRO, or do you just know that it is still going on, so you're afraid to mention it? COINTELPRO was the FBI/CIA/Fed program to infiltrate and destroy any groups that were considered left on the political spectrum. It involved not only placing people in those organizations, frequently as agent provocateurs, but murder, financing militias, inside the United States mind you, and putting people in jail for life, many of whom are still there. That's the thing about COINTELPRO, for all we know, it's still going on. In fact, given the findings of some researchers on the Antifa movement, in which police put agent provocateurs into the movement to ratchet up violence, so that the police could respond violently, it absolutely is still going on. The other thing to note is that COINTELPRO wasn't a left or right program. It ran under both liberal and conservative administrations. Lied us into war after 9/11, murdered and displaced millions of innocent lives, destroyed our monetary policy and incentives for Americans to save to fund these endless wars. When shit hit the fan from these policies, they further inflated our money to bail out big banks and corrupt corporations. All politicians are bought and sold by huge corporations. The solution: liberty, human freedom, volunteerism, and the erosion of this corrupt and centralized power. Spraying Agent Orange during the Vietnam War. Over 1 million gallons of this toxic chemical that still causes severe health problems to Vietnamese in this present day. Between slavery, the countless US-backed coups of left-wing South American governments, the complicity of the genocide of East Timor, the genocide of the Native Americans, the mass illegal bombings of Cambodia, the ongoing endless wars in the Middle East, or the backing of Saudis and the genocidal civil war in Yemen, it's almost impossible to pick the worst from the depths of depravity my country dives into in the name of profit and capitalism. Residential schools towards Native Americans. USA and Canada's most recent genocide with the last school closing in 1996. It's really sad, and I don't have any grandparents because of it. They were shot by the RCMP taking my father away during the 60s scoop. My grandparents fought to keep him, but the RCMP were allowed to use lethal force. He was 5. He finally got to leave at 16 as one of the only survivors in his family, and was homeless until 18. He has told me horror stories that the schools or government won't even acknowledge or touch. Murder, beatings, sexual assault on children, torture, and other fucked yo things you can't even imagine. We are Saltoks and we lost our language because of it. He wasn't allowed to speak Saltoks and that was all he knew at the time. It's fucked up and sad. Thousands lost their lives. Trying to get rid of to end encryption and habeas corpus right now, as soon as COVID-19 is starting to become a problem is far from the worst, but it's pretty bad and still relevant. I don't think I'll be arrested for this post, but next week it could be possible. Thanks for watching, and remember to leave a like and subscribe. Have a good day.